The call came through at 11:47 p.m. on a Friday night. I was shoulder deep in a server rack at First National's data center in Lower Manhattan, tracing an intrusion pattern through 25-year-old COBOL code that most engineers my age had already forgotten existed. My phone buzzed against my belt. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again. I pulled off my work gloves and checked the screen. Craig Pullman, my direct supervisor at Grid Shield Solutions, calling from home on a Friday night when he should have been watching TV with his wife. I answered because that's what 24 years of being the reliable one conditions you to do. Mercer speaking. Carl, it's Craig. Carl, my name is Walter Mercer. I'd worked for this man for 6 years and he didn't know my first name. Go ahead, Craig. I need to inform you of a company decision. Effective immediately, we no longer require your services as senior security architect. Your employment is terminated as of today. I looked at the console in front of me. Alert code SEC breach active blinking red. 847 failed login attempts in the last 10 minutes. 3 separate banking systems in full lockdown. And Diane Waverly, First National's operations director, standing 8 feet away watching me with the kind of look you give someone when your institution is bleeding $25,000 an hour, and they're the only person who can stop it. I kept my voice level. I understand. I'll inform the client that Grid Shield will be sending someone else to handle the breach response. Silence. Long enough that I thought the call had dropped. What breach? He said. The coordinated cyber attack that brought me into Manhattan yesterday at 6 p.m. 3 banks are in full lockdown. The breach is costing approximately $75,000 per hour across all 3 institutions in frozen wire transfers and compliance violations. I'm in the middle of tracing the intrusion through legacy COBOL protocols. I assume you'll want to send a replacement to complete the work. More silence. Walt, let's discuss this after you've resolved the situation. He got my name right that time. Funny how that works. I don't think that's appropriate. You just terminated my employment. I'll brief the client on what I've found so far and head home. Whoever you send next can pick up from my notes. He said he'd call me back. Then he hung up before I could respond. I set the phone down on the console and thought about that for a moment. 24 years, 280 security emergencies across 12 states. I'd worked through hurricanes and national holidays. I'd missed my son's high school graduation to fix a breach at a credit union in Philadelphia. I spent my 48th birthday in a server room in Boston, while my wife Sandra ate takeout alone at the kitchen table. When Grid Shield had a crisis, I showed up. Every single time, and Craig Pullman just called me Carl and fired me over the phone while I was actively preventing a financial disaster that nobody else at his company knew how to stop. There are moments in your life when everything becomes very clear. That was one of them. Diane had been watching me. She stepped closer, keeping her voice low. Mr. Mercer, is something wrong? I just got terminated by my employer while in the middle of securing your systems. The color left her face. Terminated. But you're the only person who understands our legacy protocols. What happens to our systems? Grid Shield will need to send someone else. The other engineer with Cobalt experience is Neil Broder. He's in Denver managing a federal contract. Grid Shield will have to wait until he's available. How long? Neil's engagement runs another 10 days, plus travel time. She did the math in her head, and I watched it happen on her face. 10 days at $25,000 per hour per institution. Federal compliance penalties stacking up on top of that. She was looking at losses that would end careers, including probably hers. At 12:45 a.m., my phone rang again. Scott Harlan, Grid Shield's COO. Scott had been with the company for 15 years and understood exactly what Craig had done the moment someone explained it to him. Walt, there's been a misunderstanding about your employment status. We need you to complete the Manhattan engagement before we discuss any personnel matters. Craig was very clear. Effective immediately. This is a critical situation. These institutions are losing significant money every hour. Then I need you to clarify something first. Am I a Grid Shield employee or not? Because if I'm Craig made an error, and he needs to call me back and say so. And if I'm not, then I shouldn't be working on Grid Shield projects. Long pause. I could hear him thinking through the problem. If he confirmed my termination, he was admitting Grid Shield had just eliminated its only crisis resource in the middle of their biggest active emergency. If he reversed it, he was undermining Craig in real time and creating a political mess he'd have to clean up for months. Let me conference in Craig so we can get this sorted out. I'd rather you didn't. Craig was clear about his decision, and I'm respecting it. If the banks need support, they should contact Grid Shield's emergency line and request another engineer. Walt, there is no other engineer available who can handle Cobalt banking vulnerabilities. That's an unfortunate situation, but it stopped being my problem about an hour ago. I ended the call. Diane had heard enough of my side of both calls to understand the situation. She pulled a chair next to mine at the console and sat down. What should we do, Mr. Mercer? Contact Grid Shield formally. Put it in writing. Tell them your previous engineer is no longer available and you need qualified emergency support within 24 hours. Timestamp that email. She drafted it on her phone and sent it at 1:10 a.m., copying GridShield's emergency response team. Then we waited. GridShield's reply came back at 1:55 a.m. We acknowledge your request for emergency engineering support. Our senior security architects are currently committed to other client emergencies. We are working to identify available resources and will provide an estimated response timeline within 12 hours. 12 hours. In plain language, that meant they had nobody. Scott was probably on the phone with every contractor and outside consultant he could reach, trying to find someone who understood legacy Cobalt systems well enough to not make the situation worse. The problem was that kind of knowledge doesn't exist in a directory somewhere. You build it over decades of working inside systems that most engineers never touch because they're old and complicated, and the companies that run them would rather pretend the risk doesn't exist than deal with it. I'd spent 24 years building that knowledge. GridShield had spent 24 years profiting from it, and Craig Pullman had decided in about 30 seconds that it was expendable. Diane showed me the email with the look of someone watching a slow-motion disaster they can't stop. Then her phone buzzed. She stepped away to take the call. When she came back 2 minutes later, something had shifted in her expression. GridShield just sent someone, she said. Neil Broder? That was fast from Denver. Not Neil Broder. She paused, choosing her words carefully. His name is Ryan Pullman. He introduced himself as a junior engineer. He's been standing at the main terminal for about 15 minutes. She looked at me. He asked one of my overnight techs where the Cobalt interface was. My tech told him it was the main terminal. Ryan said he thought Cobalt was a color. I didn't say anything for a moment. Ryan Pullman, Craig's last name. I did the math quickly. Craig had a son who'd just finished college. I remembered seeing a photo on Craig's desk once, a kid in a graduation gown, both of them grinning. I'd assumed it was a nephew or something. I never asked. Craig hadn't fired me to cut headcount. He'd fired me to clear a seat. Everything from the past few months rearranged itself in my head. The quarterly review cycle response to my vulnerability alert. The 2-team meetings Craig had canceled. The way he'd been distracted and vague in every conversation for the past month. He'd been planning this for a while, probably since Ryan graduated. The breach just caught him at the wrong moment, and instead of pausing his plan, he'd pushed forward anyway. He sent his son to a live crisis at 2 in the morning. A kid who thought Cobalt was a color, to handle an intrusion targeting 25-year-old financial mainframes currently responsible for the frozen wire transfers of 3 major New York banks. 3 weeks before that Friday night, I had sent Craig an email. Subject line, Vulnerability Alert, Cobalt Authorization Module, Priority Review Requested. I'd found a buffer overflow in legacy code handling international wire transfer authorization. The same vulnerability that was now being actively exploited. Craig had replied the next morning, "Thanks, Walt, I'll flag it for the quarterly review cycle." I thought about that email for a moment. I still had it. "Diane," I said, "your contract with GridShield, does it have an emergency exception clause for outside consultants?" She was already ahead of me. I had our legal team pull the contract when Scott called. There's a provision. If GridShield cannot provide qualified engineering support within 24 hours of a formal written request, we can engage any qualified independent consultant at our discretion. You submitted the formal request at 1:10 a.m. Yes, and their response confirmed they have no one available. In writing, I sat with that for a second. I was 54 years old. I had spent 24 years building expertise inside systems that the rest of the industry had moved on from. I had never worked for myself a single day in my life. My father hadn't either. He'd given 32 years to a manufacturing company in Western Pennsylvania, believed in it the way men of his generation believed in institutions, and when a holding company bought them out, they dissolved his pension and handed him a cardboard box at 58. He spent his last 7 working years picking up whatever temporary work he could find, never complaining, never explaining to us kids how bad it actually was until much later. I had always told myself I was smarter than that I'd built enough reputation, enough indispensable knowledge, that no company would be stupid enough to let me go. Craig Pullman had just demonstrated exactly how wrong that thinking was. My wife Sandra had been telling me for 12 years that I was building someone else's house while renting a room in it. That the security I thought I had was borrowed, not owned. I'd smiled and nodded and gone back to work, because the paycheck came every 2 weeks and the benefits were good and it felt stable. It didn't feel stable anymore. "What would your rate structure look like?" Diane asked. $400 an hour. Minimum 20-hour engagement to ensure complete vulnerability patching and full system validation across all 3 institutions. 50% deposit before I start. Remaining 50% on successful restoration. She didn't negotiate. When your bank is losing $25,000 an hour and facing federal compliance penalties that could run into the millions, $8,000 for a guaranteed solution isn't a negotiation. It's a relief. Done, she said. I'll have our CFO process the deposit immediately. At 3:30 a.m., my phone chimed, bank transfer notification. $4,000 cleared into my personal checking account. I put my work gloves back on. The funny thing about doing the exact same work as an independent contractor instead of a salaried employee is how different it feels from the inside. Every decision I made after 3:30 a.m. was mine. No approval chain, no documentation for a manager who would never read it. No waiting on a conference call with 3 people who didn't understand the technical details but had to feel included before anything could move forward. I identified a problem. I made a call. I fixed it. That was the entire process. I started at First National because that's where I'd been when Craig called. The buffer overflow in the Cobalt authorization module was exactly where I'd flagged it 3 weeks earlier. The hackers had found the same entry point I'd found, which meant they either had someone with deep legacy knowledge on their team, or they'd spent serious money acquiring documentation that most people assume no longer existed. Either way, closing it required rebuilding the input validation layer from scratch without touching the transaction processing logic underneath. One wrong move and you didn't just stop the attack, you stopped the bank. I worked through the night, around 5 a.m. I got coffee from a vending machine down the hall and kept going. Around 6 a.m., one of Diane's overnight techs, a young woman named Carol who couldn't have been more than 28, came in to check the monitors and stopped when she saw me still at the terminal. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked. "I don't sleep during active breaches," I said. She looked at the screen, at the scrolling lines of Cobalt code that probably looked like a foreign language to her, and then back at me. "Is it working? Ask me in 4 hours." She nodded and left me alone. That's the thing about this kind of work that most people outside of it don't understand. It's not dramatic. There's no moment where alarms stop and lights turn green and everyone cheers. It's just hours of careful, methodical work where the measure of success is that nothing breaks. You're not building something. You're removing a threat that nobody can see from a system that nobody fully understands without disrupting the 10,000 other things that system is quietly doing every second. By 11 a.m. Saturday, I'd completed the patches at First National and confirmed clean system validation. No intrusion vectors, no residual access points. Transaction processing ready to restore. I moved to Manhattan Savings. Somewhere around noon, Diane stopped by with a sandwich from the place across the street and set it on the console without saying anything. I ate half of it without taking my eyes off the screen. The Manhattan Savings patch took longer because their implementation of the Cobalt authorization module had been customized in 2003 by a contractor who was apparently very creative with variable naming conventions and not at all interested in documentation. I had to reverse engineer about 400 lines of logic before I could safely touch the vulnerability. That kind of thing would take a junior engineer a week. It took me 3 hours because I'd seen similar customizations before, at a bank in Hartford back in 2009, and the logic patterns were familiar enough that I could read them the way you read handwriting you've seen before, even if it's messy. By 2 p.m., Manhattan Savings was patched and validated. Brooklyn Federal was last. Their system was the closest to the original 1998 implementation, which made it simultaneously the most vulnerable and the easiest to fix. I was done by 4 p.m., 41 hours after the first breach alert had hit. All 3 banking systems were back online. No security vulnerabilities. No transaction processing errors. Every wire transfer that had been frozen in the queue began moving through the system in order, like water through a pipe that had been blocked and then cleared. Diane was watching the monitor when the green status lights came back across all 3 institutions. She didn't cheer. She just exhaled, slowly, the way people do when they've been holding their breath for a very long time without realizing it. "Mr. Mercer," she said quietly, "thank you. I'll prepare a full technical report, vulnerability profile, attack methodology, patch documentation, and validation results. You should share it with Grid Shield so they can update their security records." She nodded. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. "We'd like to discuss an ongoing relationship, not emergency work, proactive quarterly vulnerability assessments, on-call availability for legacy system issues. We have 3 more institutions in our parent group that run similar Cobalt architecture. I don't want to be in this position again." I told her I'd think about it. Before I closed my laptop, I opened the technical report I'd been drafting throughout the day. At the end, after the patch documentation and the system validation results, I added an appendix. A single page. At the top I typed, "Prior vulnerability notice." Below that I pasted the email I had sent Craig Pullman 3 weeks earlier. Subject line, timestamp, full text. His reply below it, "Thanks, Walt. I'll flag it for the quarterly review cycle." No commentary, No explanation, just the record. The report went to Diane, to First National's legal team, to Manhattan Savings, and to Brooklyn Federal. Standard distribution for a post-incident technical document. I packed up my tools at 5 p.m. and took the train back to Jersey. On the ride home, I thought about Ryan Pullman, still somewhere in that building, or maybe already gone, having watched the entire situation resolve itself without him. I didn't feel satisfaction about that exactly. It was more like clarity. There's a version of that kid's life where his father sets him up properly, where he learns the work from the ground up, where he earns the position instead of inheriting it. That version might have turned out fine. This wasn't that version. And the gap between what Ryan could do and what the situation required had been visible to everyone in that building within about 10 minutes of his arrival. I hadn't needed to say a word. I got home around 10 that night. Sandra was at the kitchen table with a book open in front of her that she clearly wasn't reading. She looked up when I came in, took one look at my face, and closed the book. I sat down across from her and told her the whole thing. The call at 11:47 p.m., Craig getting my name wrong, stopping work and watching Grid Shield scramble, Ryan Pullman standing at a mainframe terminal not knowing what cobalt was, the deposit hitting my account at 3:30 in the morning, the report with the email appended at the end. She listened to all of it without interrupting once, which is not something Sandra does often. When I finished, she got up, walked to the cabinet, poured herself a glass of wine, and looked at me across the kitchen. "Finally," she said. One word. That was it. But I'd been waiting 12 years to hear it, and we both knew it. Sandra had been right about all of it. She'd watched her father work 28 years for a regional bank in Ohio that got acquired and restructured when he was 61. They kept him on for 8 months during the transition, and then let him go with a handshake and a severance check that lasted about a year. He never found another position at that level. He worked part-time jobs until he was 70 because the retirement savings weren't enough. She had watched that happen up close at an age when it leaves a mark, and she had spent the next 30 years making sure she understood exactly what it meant. The security you think you have because a company values you is not the same as security you actually own. She had said that to me in various forms for over a decade. I had heard it and not heard it at the same time. The way you do when something is true but inconvenient. I heard it now. Scott Harlan called Sunday morning. Grid Shield wanted to discuss reinstatement. Full back pay, benefits restored. Craig's decision reversed. I told him I appreciated the call and I was declining. "You're our most experienced legacy systems expert, Walt. We have active client relationships that depend on your knowledge. Grid Shield should have considered that on Friday night," I said. "I'm happy to support those relationships as an outside consultant. Same rate I'm charging your clients directly." He didn't have a response to that. He said he'd be in touch and we ended the call. Over the next 4 weeks, I received 12 emergency calls from financial institutions across the Northeast. Every one of them followed the same pattern. Legacy system breach. Grid Shield couldn't respond fast enough. Could I help? I helped all 12. Total billing for those 4 weeks came to $67,000. More than I'd earned in the previous 5 months at Grid Shield. Word moves fast in financial security. By August, I was getting calls from institutions that had never worked with Grid Shield at all. Not emergency calls. Proactive ones. Banks that wanted someone who understood their legacy architecture before a problem happened, not after. Diane had made 3 referrals on my behalf by then, and each one led to another. 2 of the 3 banks from the Manhattan breach formally terminated their contracts with Grid Shield in September and signed retainer agreements directly with me. Combined, that was $420,000 a year in revenue that Grid Shield no longer had. Craig Pullman was terminated in February. Grid Shield's board commissioned an internal review after 2 major client departures, and the review traced both terminations directly to the Manhattan incident. The total attributed loss, lost contracts, recovery costs, and the consulting fees they were now paying me instead of employing me came to just under $900,000. The board decided Craig's judgment had cost more than his position was worth. Ryan Pullman quietly moved to an internal support role. I don't know what happened to him after that, and I didn't look. In December, Grid Shield offered me a formal consulting arrangement. $400 an hour for active work, $3,000 monthly retainer for availability, 6-month contract renewable at my discretion. I accepted because reliable revenue is reliable revenue, and I had no reason to hold a grudge against the company. Craig was gone. The work was the same work I'd always done. The difference was that now I set the terms. By the end of that year, I was managing 9 long-term consulting relationships with financial institutions across the Northeast. Annual revenue was approaching $800,000. I was working roughly half the hours I used to put in at Grid Shield. Sandra and I started making plans we'd been deferring for years. The cabin in Vermont we'd looked at twice and never bought. The trip to Spain that had been rescheduled so many times it had become a running joke between us. Helping our son with a down payment on his first house instead of wondering whether our own retirement math added up. My father never got that. He worked 32 years with his head down, trusted the institution, and found out at 58 that the institution didn't trust him back. He never complained about it to us, not directly. But I watched what it did to him, and I carried that with me for a long time without fully understanding what I was carrying. I understand it now. The most dangerous thing Craig Pullman did wasn't firing me. It was assuming that my value lived inside GridShield's org chart. It didn't. It never had. It lived in 24 years of accumulated knowledge that walked out the door with me and kept working, just on different terms. If you've spent years building expertise that your company depends on and you're still waiting for them to recognize what that's actually worth, stop waiting. The market already knows. Your employer is just hoping you don't find out. Craig found out first. The invoice was $900,000, and he paid it with his job. I found out the same night at 3:30 a.m. when $4,000 hit my account and I put my work gloves back on for the first time as a free man. Some lessons cost everything to learn. This one paid for itself.